Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayamundiraye Ashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Jnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadesh Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya evacha Titanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I'm seeking the blessings of all the devotees present here. Please bless me so that I can speak something which could be of service to the lordships Shri Radha Govinda and also Jagannath Baldev and Subhadra Maharani. And today we're reading from the beautiful Śrimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, entitled, Chapter 22nd, entitled Entanglement in Fruitive Activities. We have 3 verses for today, so I'm gonna chant first the last verse, which is the last verse of the chapter, and then I'll come back to the 41st verse, and then the 42nd verse, which has a purport. So text 43. Yaidam shinu yad amba shadaya purusha shakrit yova bidate machita sahyeti padavinchame. Anyone who once meditates upon me with faith and affection, who hears and chants about me, surely goes back home, back to Godhead. We already know that, right? So now, text 41. Shaddanaya bhaktaya. No. First, I chant this one, there's no purport, and then we go to the verse, which we're going to chant together. Shaddanaya bhaktaya unitayana suyave bhutesho krita maitraya shusho sabiritaya cha. Translation. Instruction should be given to the faithful devotee who is respectful to the spiritual master, non-envious, friendly to all kinds of living entities, and eager to render service with faith and sincerity. And now, text 42. Now we will do it together. Please repeat after me. Bahir jata viragaya shanta chitaya diyatam imatsaraya suchate yasyaham preya sampriyaha bahir jata viragaya shanta chitaya diyatam imatsaraya suchate yasyaham preya sampriyaha bahir jata viragaya shanta chitaya diyatam irmatsaraya suchate yasyaham preya sampriyaha. Gentlemen, please chant. Bahir jata viragaya shanta chitaya diyatam irmatsaraya suchate yayam preya sampriya.
Bahir jata viragaya chittaya diyata
Matsaraya suchate yasyaham preya sampriya. Bahir jata viragaya shanta chitaya diyatam irmatsaraya suchaye yasyaham preya sampriya. Ladies? Bahir jata viragaya shanta chitaya diyatam irmatsaraya suchaye yasyaham preya sampriya. Bahir jata viragaya shanta chitaya diyatam irmatsaraya suchaye yasyaham preya sampriya. Okay, now synonyms. Bahi, for what is outside. Jata viragaya, to him who has developed detachment. Shanta chitaya, whose mind is peaceful. Diyatam, let this be instructed. Nirmatsaraya, non-envious. Shuchaye, perfectly cleansed. Yasya, of whom? Aham, I. Prayasam, of all that is very dear. Priyaha, the most dear. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai. This instruction should be imparted by the Spiritual Master to persons who have taken the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be more dear than anything, who are not envious of anyone, who are perfectly cleansed and who have developed detachment for that which is outside the purview of Krishna consciousness. Purport. In the beginning, no one can be elevated to a higher stage of devotional service. Here, bhakta means one who does not hesitate to accept the reformatory processes for becoming a bhakta. In order to become a devotee of the Lord, one has to accept a spiritual master and inquire from him about how to progress in devotional service. It's like one is willing to become a bhakta, but he doesn't want to engage in the activities of a bhakta. So it's like going to school and studying, but not studying actually because you're not doing your homework. So what is the use of you trying to be a bhakta, trying to engage in devotional service, but then not factually doing it? So it's an interesting consideration here. It sounds logical that, if you're in the temple and you are striving to be a Vaishnava, apparently, even though if somebody asks you, are you a Vaishnava? You say, no, I'm not a Vaishnava. But this is what it means, that if you are here in the temple, or if you are following the teachings of His Divine Grace, then it means that you have to be putting them into practice. Otherwise, are you a bhakta? Not really, apparently. Maybe, as they say, Brahma Bandhu, Bhakta Bandhu, friend of the bhaktas, but not fully a bhakta. And then in order to become a devotee, one has to accept the spiritual master and inquire from him about how to progress in devotional service. To serve a devotee, to chant the holy name according to a certain counting method, to worship the deity, to hear Śrimad Bhāgavatam or Bhagavad Gita from a realized person, and to live in a sacred place where devotional service is not disturbed are the first out of 64 devotional activities for making progress in devotional service. One who has accepted these 5 chief activities is called a devotee. There is another definition. There are a few definitions given by the scriptures of what is a devotee. And this is another one. One who has accepted the 5 most potent processes of bhakti, which we practice every day here in the temple. Such a great opportunity. He is to be considered a devotee. But Mahaprabhu, he explains that a person who chants even once the holy names means he have completed all the reformatory processes and yagyas in the past to be able to come to that platform of civilized life, to be able to say Krishna. Because in human society, there are so many human beings, some of them not civilized, still living in the primitive ways of life in the forest. They have a very, very, basic social structure. They hunt, and they have some understanding of the Supreme as well. They see the storms, they see the fire of the forest, they see all these phenomena, and they offer their obeisances. But they don't have a deeper understanding of religion and spirituality. But then among the more elevated positions in the West, in the East also, people who are born, who are given a chance to be educated, who have water, food, everything necessary and available, who are able to study the scriptures very easily available. The Bhagavad Gita is in the libraries, on the streets of New York. So people can just open and see Krishna, say Krishna. So they could be considered devotees. Very soon they will come to the platform of approaching a spiritual master, maybe even. Yes. They have already approached their spiritual master. Like yesterday, Jayananda was at the Harinam, and maybe somebody spoke with him, and Jayananda told him, this is Krishna, the mantra. And he became his Varna Pradakshika Guru. The Varna Pradakshika Guru is the one who first introduces us to Krishna consciousness. And then that person who was eating meat and drinking wine and all kinds of nefarious activities for the rest of his life, then suddenly he becomes transformed. So it's a very important thing for us to keep in mind, to consider. There is a very broad way of seeing the world, which is given to us by Mahaprabhu, by Acharyas, by their disciples, the disciples of their disciples, Prabhupada, his disciples, and so forth. So this knowledge is being transmitted like this. One must be prepared to offer the necessary respect and honor to the spiritual master. He should not be unnecessarily envious of his godbrothers. Rather, if a godbrother is more enlightened and advanced in Krishna consciousness, one should accept him as most equal to the spiritual master, and one should be happy to see such godbrothers advance in Krishna consciousness. So this is a very sensitive topic for us in the Western world, the spiritual master. Nowadays, we even hear how you have to be careful how you present this concept to the public already, because if you say spiritual master, it's like master. What is this word, master? I don't want to hear about master. I am the master. So we have to be more and more politically correct in many ways, because people are not ready to receive the whole package. Just straightforward. No, he's your teacher and your master. But no, spiritual teacher is kind of sounds more acceptable. But the teacher is the master, because he has the knowledge and he can dissipate the ignorance from our heart. Any types of teacher. Nimai Prabhu knows how ungrateful people the kids have become nowadays. Teaching in schools. So, such a hard task. And so is teaching in Bhakti Yoga, because people are becoming more and more disrespectful, more and more arrogant, because this is the nature of Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga people born out of lust, everybody who is born in this period is very sinful. The parents, they never had this education. They never really have a deeper understanding of reality. So, the child often is conceived in the back of the seat, or Saturday night, Friday night, in the disco, or at home, in a hotel room. And the type of consciousness that the parents have at the time of conception, that is the living entity that they attract. So Varna Shankara, unwanted population, comes about. And then we see unwanted population very rebellious, automatically inclined to sinful activities. You can see kids nowadays, they become sexually aroused at a very, very young age, because this is something inherent already in their nature. The scriptures explain how the individuals, they're resuming their past lives. In the beginning, maybe they're a little bit innocent because the consciousness is still developing, but as long as they become 10, 15 years old, when puberty kicks in, then the full-fledged demoniac propensity gets unleashed. And then we see what it means. People who are very disrespectful, who are inclined to sinful life, who are inclined to break the rules, to just be a nuisance in society. And this is what we're dealing with. It's not them, it's us. It's inside of our heart. It's so difficult to follow bhakti, although it's very simple. Prabhupada said it's simple but very difficult at the same time. Following is very difficult because following is for the saintly personalities who can put aside their pride, put aside their own agenda, and just surrender humbly to the instructions of the scriptures. But these instructions of the scriptures this is something easy to understand maybe, but then to understand them even deeper, we need the guidance of somebody who has actually understood the scriptures himself in a very deep way. So that's when the spiritual master or the spiritual teacher comes in. That's when this principle becomes very active in our life and can really make us understand the deeper reality of bhakti and our own inner world, our conditionings. When we start to really surrender, yasya deve para bhaktir, yata deve tata gurau, tasyate katita hi arta, prakashante mahatmanaha. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of the Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. So, even though it's something very simple, it's very difficult to follow. Approaching the scriptures, approaching the deities, praying to the deities. This is a neophyte mentality. It is explained how the Kanishta Adhikari, for him, there is only the most important element is the deity in the temple and his relationship directly with him. But the more advanced devotee, he actually understands that the only way to approach Krishna factually is through the devotees, and especially the senior devotees who are more advanced than us. So this is a concept that we cannot stress it enough. You know, we could speak about this every day because it's so important. Our progress in bhakti is directly proportional to how we relate to our spiritual teachers. And we have to also understand that spiritual master, Guru Tattva, it's a principle. It's not just our Diksha Guru. Once you take spiritual initiation formally, you say, I'm going to follow 4 regulative principles in front of everybody, 16 rounds, that's it, voila. Life is good. But that is just the beginning of the process, actually. Life is good, but also there are so many difficulties, there are so many obstacles. And then we're giving an opportunity. It's not an automatic thing that, you receive a few instructions from your spiritual master and then job done. No, we have to have other spiritual masters as well, because our Diksha Guru, he is giving us Shiksha, which means instruction, and he is our main Shiksha, instructing spiritual master. But then we have many other Shiksha, instructing spiritual masters, who are people who have a greater spiritual realization. They could even be just more advanced in something. They might not be senior by age, but if we actually situate ourselves in humility, in the proper consciousness, we can learn from everybody, not just from our seniors. We can learn from our juniors and from our peers. And then Krishna starts revealing the mystery. He starts putting away the veil, and we understand the deeper fabrics of reality, how the modes of nature work around us, how they work on us. Because this is not just a book knowledge. You can go on reading, you can go on studying, just like all those scholars who have written so many commentaries. But then what is the use? There is no bhakti. So this knowledge comes from within, it becomes revealed when Krishna is pleased. And Krishna is especially pleased when the spiritual master is pleased. So in this way, the aspiring devotee, he has to seek guidance from many spiritual masters. It is also advised that the aspiring devotee, he has to hear the science from many devotees who are more advanced than him. You cannot just be hearing from one person. You have to examine the philosophy from so many different aspects and angles, which can only come from different minds, because people have different intelligence and they can bring always something new to the table, to the same old concept, but you're going deeper, you're churning the milk. So this is something that we have to understand. We have to be seeking actively guidance. That is the ultimate purpose of sadhu sangha. Prabhupada himself, he explained that the only purpose of this ISKCON society is to facilitate association between devotees. Because association between devotees is essential. You can be at home, you can chant your rounds, you can study, you can offer prasadam, you can do whatever you want, but if you're alone, you will perish. You will be baffled in your attempts to practice Krishna consciousness. Because Krishna, that is how he intervenes in our life. So we have to learn to see the devotees in our life as the Vishnu Dutas, the agents of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And even though if many times, if we don't have the realization, at least on an intellectual level, we have to keep trying to remind ourselves that, these devotees who have been initiated before me, these devotees who have been put in a senior position to me, who have some seniority over me, I have to offer special respect, and I have to really take in consideration their guidance, their example, their behavior, and so forth. And even if they make mistakes, sometimes such devotees may commit great mistakes, still we should overlook them and be respectful. Because apichet apichet sudaracharo. Yes. The devotee, even though he commits mistakes, even the greatest mistake of killing a brahmana, if he's properly situated, he's to be considered saintly. Even though so many mistakes, still we offer respects, because very, very soon all these things will be removed from his consciousness. He will become topmost devotee. And for us, it's important to understand how to properly associate, not just with our seniors, but Prabhupada explains in the purports how one has to associate with his friends, those who are equal to him. He has to support them, he has to inspire them. There has to be at least a transcendental competition, but not enviousness, as is in the material world. Friends are envious of each other. And with the juniors, one has to be very merciful, because they are younger, they are inexperienced, they are prone to so many mistakes. So one has to be very merciful. They say the arrogance of the youth. Just like we were explaining, the youth will be very prone to be rebellious, to not follow. But still, we have to be merciful to them. We have to tolerate them and give them mercy. Not that we try to exploit them because they're weaker. They are more inexperienced and so forth. And the Bhāgavatam is teaching us constantly, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita especially, is teaching us this culture of how to relate with each other, which is very important, it's essential. And this culture is not just within the spiritual society, but this is instructions for civilized human beings. This is a culture for the whole world. So we're meant to teach this culture to the world at large by speaking about it, but also by behaving, because the highest way of preaching the message is by personal behavior, achar, sadachar. So when people see how we behave with each other, that will be the greatest teaching. And this is actually, believe it or not, this is one of the major reasons that Western society is collapsing. Western society is not working properly, because people, they don't know how to relate to each other. They don't know the signs. It's not just random. The son is blaspheming the father, talking back, very arrogant, or vice versa, the father is exploiting the child. Or when you go out in the world to search work, how are you going to behave with your boss, with your seniors at work? That's why many people, they cannot get hired, because they're very arrogant. They don't understand this, that there will be always somebody superior to you. There will always be somebody who you have to be dependent upon, somebody who is your authority. When people hear authority, when people hear masters and these kind of things, But nevertheless, this is the science, you know. You'll never be the most junior and you'll never be the most senior. There will always be these three classes of men. And many times it's something subtle, might not be so obvious in our direct dealings, speaking and so forth. It could be just a matter of a mood. What is the emotion that we're putting inside of our words? What is the body language that we're exhibiting? So we have to be very, very diligent, very focused. The way we think, the way we speak, everything is important. Everything that we do will make us either go forward or backwards. So again and again we're invited to be spiritual scientists throughout our daily life. That is what matters. The time you wake up until the time you go to sleep, everything you did then will either make a difference or degrade yourself. He should not be unnecessarily envious of his god brothers. Rather, if a god brother is more enlightened and advanced in Krishna consciousness, one should accept him as almost equal to the spiritual master, and one should be happy to see such god brothers advance in Krishna consciousness. A devotee should always be very kind to the general public in instructing Krishna consciousness, because that is the only solution for getting out of the clutches of Maya. That is really humanitarian work, for it is the way to show mercy to other people who need it very badly. It is explained in the Bhāgavatam how violence means to not preach Krishna consciousness. So just by being idle, by not preaching Krishna consciousness, we are actually exercising himsa. So the devotee's prime duty is to always preach Krishna consciousness. Somehow, anybody can preach. What is the only qualification to a preacher? Does anybody know? It's from Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj.
To know Krishna's God.
Huh? Could be one of the items, but it's not the one. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj explains that a preacher only needs enthusiasm. That qualifies him. That's it. Anybody can preach somehow. Anybody can speak something about Krishna or can convey some higher principle, sattvic principle of, I don't know, vegetarianism or cleanliness. Be clean, you know. Clean your house. It will free the space in your mind as well. It will make you feel good, you know. Sattvic behaviors. So we can always preach to the people. We have to meet them where they are. And then we don't need to bring them to the top immediately, but at least we can make them join the ladder from where they're at. So it's an art. The word Shushrushabhirataya indicates a person who faithfully engages in serving the spiritual master. One should give personal service and all kinds of comforts to the spiritual master. A devotee who does so is also a bona fide candidate for taking this instruction. Why? Because when we serve the spiritual master, when we serve the devotees, we're actually putting ourselves in a lower position, in an inferior position. So when the mercy flows from the top, from the parampara, then we can receive the mercy. It is explained how when we serve, when we listen humbly, then only we can receive the mercy. Otherwise, if there is pride, you know, you're full of it. If you're full, you cannot receive more. That's it. The word Bahirjata Viragya means a person who has developed detachment from external and internal material propensities. Not only is he detached from activities which are not connected to Krishna consciousness, but he should be internally averse to the material way of life. Such a person must be non-envious and should think of the welfare of all living entities, not only of the human beings, but living entities other than human beings. What if we are envious of people? What do we have to do? It says that we shouldn't be envious. But what if we're envious? What happens then? We just chant a few rounds. Would that be enough?
Take some menial service.
Take some menial service. Just any random menial service?
Serve them.
Yes, yes. I remember once one devotee when I joined, we just joined, he caught me criticizing somebody, or I don't remember exactly what happened, but he was telling me, you have to meditate on that devotee in your mind, how you are washing his feet, how you're serving him, because this is the only way to counteract the offense, and this is also the only way to counteract our envy, because envy is the opposite of service. The envious mentality is the materialistic mentality which makes us feel proud and the master of all that is. But when we act contrary to that nature, then naturally this envy dissipates from our heart, because Krishna becomes pleased. But how difficult it is to serve. Sounds so simple, yet so difficult. You know? Somebody shows up, Prabhu, we have some service for you. Oh, Prabhuji, oh, sorry. The word Shuchaye means one who is cleansed both externally and internally. To become actually cleansed externally and internally, one should chant the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna or Vishnu constantly. The word Dhyatam means that knowledge of Krishna consciousness should be offered by the spiritual master. The spiritual master must not accept a disciple who is not qualified. One should not be professional and should not accept disciples for monetary gains. The bona fide spiritual master must see the bona fide qualities of a person whom he is going to initiate. An unworthy person should not be initiated. The spiritual master should train his disciple in such a way so that in the future only the Supreme Personality Godhead will be the dearmost goal of his life. In these two verses, the qualities of a devotee are fully explained. One who has actually developed all the qualities listed in these verses is already elevated to the post of a devotee. If one has not developed all these qualities, he still has to fulfill these conditions in order to become a perfect devotee. So, accepting a spiritual master, not a light task. The spiritual master is examining the disciple, but the disciple himself also examines the spiritual master. It's a mutual relationship of testing each other, and this is a serious commitment. This is a very responsible job, like we were discussing the other day with Bhakta Julian, who comes very often, how devotional life, being a disciple, it's extremely responsible job. It's even more responsible than the position of the President of the United States, because the devotee is saving the whole world. Can you imagine? Just by chanting Hare Krishna, taking prasadam, dancing in kirtan, distributing books, or just doing the gift shop, meeting few people, we're dissipating Krishna consciousness. And what if we take it lightly and then we do nonsense? Then so bad. The spiritual master gets our karma. He will suffer, he will get sick. And spiritual life is like a sword with a blade with two edges. You can either make yourself or break yourself. You can cut through your material attachments, or you can degrade yourself by doing so many offenses, especially offending the devotees. Very, very dangerous. So, very responsible job following the spiritual teacher. So, everybody has to take in consideration and prepare himself. It's a very difficult life, very difficult. Nevertheless, Prabhupada said, spiritual life, very difficult. Material life, impossible. So this is what I wanted to share with you, dear devotees. If there are some comments, questions, donations, maybe, remarks. Everything is clear. Purna Avatar Prabhu. Wait a moment, speak here. Can you do it?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, you were mentioning about spiritual master. If you want, you don't want to tell someone about spiritual master, you know, they may be afraid or whatever. But I said you were mentioning about spiritual master. You know, if you want to tell somebody about spiritual master, yes, they'll be afraid. You know, what is spiritual master about or whatever. But then was listening to Advaita Maharaj, he was saying, you know, if you have a candle, why hide it, you know? So you could just, if you want to tell about spiritual master, you just explain what it's all about, you know. Rather than, you know, have something good, you're trying to hide the truth, you know. That's my point. Hare Krishna.
If you have a candle, why hide it?
Why hide the light, you know? You have a light, you light the candle. Why hide it under something? You let the light shine. Yeah.
We have 5 minutes more. More things?
No, I'm just holding the mic. It's my duty. Well, something nice I heard Prabhupada said on your point is like, even if someone, like, say if you say something and someone takes it the wrong way, like you say spiritual master, they say, master, oh, I don't have a master. What is this master stuff? I'm supposed to be free. You know, like if someone takes offense to the wording we use, like now people don't like the word master, people don't like the word religion, people don't like the word God. Like it's there. Like I suppose I understand we should say the truth as it is, and if they don't take it, then that's their loss. But I heard Devamrita Swami said, Prabhupada mentioned we should become expert snake charmers. So even though it's like a trivial point in the absolute sense, like who cares, master, or you say spiritual friend, it's like kind of nonsense. But whatever it takes to get someone to actually take the knowledge and start the process is good. So on one hand, it's like we can present it in a way where they're less offended so that they can get to the point where they actually understand what they're getting versus them taking offense at what's not real and missing out. And then they have to come back, God knows when, to find out after so many kicks. So it's like both sides are interesting.
Yeah, the devotees are like spiritual physicians. They are expertly administering the medicine by sugar coating. So sometimes you have to put little sugar coating, sometimes you have to put more, as much as it's necessary, as long as of bhakti are there, and we can explain into food how they work, because they are the laws of nature.
Hare Krishna. Very nice class. Thank you. I liked your point about how we have to hear from many different advanced devotees because they're presenting the same concepts from different angles of vision, and how that's actually one of the main purposes of ISKCON, is to provide that association. And I was thinking about the wonderful class last night by Dr. Best, or Mila Devi, and she presented the four Varnas in a way that I hadn't heard them presented before. And I really felt that even though it was an abbreviated, very abbreviated version of what she has to offer, she has that large book, she has so many seminars, she gives so many classes, she's putting together a workbook, she's designing an online class, all these things becoming available. So even though I only had a little taste of what she's offering, I found it so profound, and was able to understand it on a much deeper level than I had before.
Because she has such deep realizations of the subject matter,
Yeah.
so many details, and that knowledge is realized knowledge you might not find it during the books. And one thing that I really appreciated is when she actually emphasized that, now I'm going to present you the four sections, the four, categories, and forget about the Sanskrit. We came up with English words. What is it? The field of ideas, the field of
Artistry.
artistry. Yeah, and just forget because of Sanskrit, we have so many. They are loaded with so many preconceptions and negative connotations. Should. No class.
Right.
But actually, if you see, it's like these sections, they're working interchangeably. They're working together to build a society, and there's nothing shameful about being what you are and contributing to society. And everybody's work is so valuable and it's divine. Two people once told me, I was telling something. Even she mentioned it yesterday. I was telling him on, I was like, this should be service. Meaning service. That was the move behind slowly and he told me, well, actually, for the voting, being Shudra is the best position. Because you're in the lowest position and you're serving everybody else. And she even mentioned that. She even mentioned. So, deep realizations. We're all working for positions. What is the badge? The Kshatriya, the Brahmana, the teacher. But actually, thank you so much for coming. 901. On Tat Sat, thanks a lot. Shalom will be served in the parking lot. Congratulations about that today.
Jai. Jai.